Hello again, my friends. This is the Boy News Dog, and welcome to another Everthoughts Retrospective special. In today's episode, we'll be looking back through the 4th year of Evercade, which is 2023 if you're wondering. So, this is the final part of my retrospective series, looking each year, as we've already covered the 5th and 6th. If there is an interest, we can do a whole year battle where we put each year against each other to find the best year of all. Now, it's funny, every year I think, wow, that was a year. How could they possibly surprise me this time? But with the 4th, they still managed to do it. I cannot believe what we were offered this time. But more on that in a bit. As per usual, we begin by talking numbers. I always find that well interesting. Then we will go through the timeline for 2023. I'll rank all 15 collections against each other before trying to create my perfect cart from games from over the year, taking cart, game size and game amount into account. Right, as per usual, we'll start off by talking numbers. So in 2023 we got 15 collections, 9 of which were console collections, only 2 arcades this year and 4 home computer collections. So a huge chunk of console collections, and for once a decent amount added to the home computer range, which was very nice, and the arcade range was the least served. Speaking of games, we got 42 console games, 16 arcade games and 35 home computer games over the year, with a total of 93. So how does this look overall at this point? By the end of 2023 we had 36 console collections, 10 arcade collections and 5 home computer collections, with a grand total of 291 games. Not bad for 4 years, and as usual that doesn't even include the secret games and the double cart unlocks. So now let's have a look at the timeline of 2023 and what happened when. In January we saw the release of only a single cart, the Indie Heroes Collection 2. February and March were quiet months though, so we got nothing there. In April we got 2 releases with Toplan Arcade 2 and the C64 Collection 2. In May we saw the release of Pico Interactive Collection 3, but also in May there was a big day, the biggest some might say, as it was the release of my genuine dream cart up until that point, one I thought we'd never see, but there it was, the Team 17 Collection 1. It says 1 on the end of the collection, so I still live in hope for a second one. You never know. June and July, those damn summer months, were quiet too. Now in August we saw the release of the Sydney Hunter Collection and the Pico Interactive Arcade 1. In September we saw the release of the first Sunsoft Collection, that's all we got there. And in October, yes, we got released in October this year, and I couldn't have been more pleased with the Delphine Software Collection 1. And then all hell broke loose in November. We got Full Void, which was delayed from October. Now I have conflicting reports that Home Computer Heroes was released in October and November, and I can't for the life of me remember which it was, so I'm putting it here. Was it meant to be October and got delayed to November like Full Void? You have to let me know if any of you guys remember, because my brain's terrible. We got Duke Nukem Collection 1 and Duke Nukem Collection 2, which you could also have bundled in with the Duke Nukem inspired Evercade VS Atomic Edition. The VS model I'm still using to this day. My VS Founders Edition is packed away for safety. We also got Good Boy Galaxy and Witch and Wiz. And finally, Demons of Astrobor with Astrobros. This was also the time of the release of the first 2 Super Pockets by Hyper Megatech. The Capcom edition featured 12 games, and one of them being the Mighty Ghouls and Ghosts, so worth buying for that alone. Though it didn't live up to the collection we got on the first version of the XP, but it's still cool. And the second Super Pocket to be released was the Tater edition, with 17 games, which kept me happy all this time with the Mighty Puzzle Bobble and 2 versions of Space Invaders. Now, nothing was released in December, but to be fair, we were too busy with everything that came before. And now finally we're on to the ranking. which collection ended up being my favourite and which was relegated to the bottom. With a huge selection to go through, some places for me were blindingly obvious, but for others it's been a really tricky job to place. I think this is my final decision. And in 15th place is Home Computer Heroes Collection 1. I don't know what it is about this collection. I really dug it when it first came out, but over time it has slipped down when compared to the other collections. After quite a while jumping back into this time and time again, admittedly most of those times it was the farming simulator. What? I can't help it. There's just something about it, okay? And I like going back to Citadel a lot, and the River Raid style game, which I forget the name of right now. But I can't say now that I've gone in anywhere near the cart in the last couple of years. Yes, a lot of that is to do with what was going on in my life, and quite frankly the high quality collections we've received in the last 2 years. But I have still had time to find time with the other collections released this year, so yeah, overall this had to come in last. And in 14th place is Sunsoft Collection 1. After eventually getting better at Arabian, I did start to really like it. I'm still rubbish though, let's be clear about that. Area of the Acrobat is a lot of fun, it's a bit repetitive and stupidly hard in places, but I do love its vibes and look. The two Master Blaster games are pretty awesome. Boy being particularly good on the Super Pocket, and I love the idea of Mr. Gimmick, but I can't lie, I do get quite frustrated with its difficulty. And finally, Journey to Silius, is that how you pronounce it, is a fun blast but tricky, reminds me of a Mega Man type title. Overall this isn't anywhere near a bad collection, in fact it's full of quality. It's again just that I'm falling off this collection in the long run, or I have fallen off. And in 13th place is Toplan Arcade 2. There are 7 games in this collection, and with a lot of the Toplan collections, if you're into shoot-em-ups, then this is a collection for you. You've got 3 vertical scrolling shoot-em-ups with Fire Shark, Twin Cobra and Twin Hawk, and they have their differences, but as you can tell from the titles, they're all pretty near the same mark. And we have a horizontal shooter with Hellfire, which does have an interesting gimmick with its weapon type selection, where you can cycle through on the fly, which I really dig. There is some variety, however, with the vertical scrolling rally bike, which was a nice change of pace, and side scrolling platformer Demon's World, where you're shooting all manner of ghosts and ghouls and creatures. But the most interesting diversion is Wardner, a platformer with RPG type elements and a hell of a lot of fun, if in the end a little short. I was huge on the Toplan collections when they came out, and having them on the alpha got me into them all over again, but alas, with time I have grown away from them a bit. Too much of a good thing. And in 12th place is Pico Interactive Arcade 1. Now there's a lot of fun to have here, especially scrolling adventure beat 'em up The Legends of Silk Road, which has route choices and a unique art style. And Steel Force, the top-down shooter, that's a lot of fun. I dig these. Equally, the fighting games are more fun now we have the alpha to play them on. We also have two of those single-screen elimination platformer games, even though one of them just scrolls, so is it really the same thing? In Fantasy World, Earth of Crisis and Magic Purple, but they aren't up to there with the best of their types on the system. But it's still a lot of fun, and I always dig them. Overall again, this has probably been played one of the least out of all the collections released in 2023, but it's still a good, goddamn good collection. And at number 11 is Sydney Hunter Collection. There might be only 4 games on this cart, but I cannot lie, they have been on and off my addiction list over time. I became especially in love with these collections because it came with a gorgeous physical map that you can use to play through one of the games. I do dig shit like that, I really do. The games are actually quite different from each other, none more so than Jester, which is addictive all the time you haven't completed it, because it isn't a massive game. All the other 3 games still take your time. The Caverns of Death is the most polished, as it's the 16-bit iteration with separate levels. The Sacred Tribe is one called Big Stage, and the one you need the map for. And Shrines of Peril is the most basic 8-bit title, a very simple design, but an addictive little blighter. You can't really go wrong with this collection if you like the adventure and booby trap style games. Yeah, I love this one. And in 10th place is Duke Nukem Collection 2. I am weak to early PS1 3D games. I know this, and you know this, so 2 of these titles are totally my bag, baby, with the slightly dodgy titles Time to Kill and Land of the Babes. They are rough as anything, but I find much fun just working my way through each patch together stage. But I tell you what, I was surprised to find an incredibly playable handheld title, Duke Nukem Advance. What an awesome little game, and technically pretty impressive for the time. This is just a fun little collection, nowhere near banger territory, but I really dig it anyway. And at number 9 it's Pico Interactive Collection 3. There are a decent 10 games on this collection, and one game is even a sizable PS1 3D title. As of all Pico collections, we really have a random concoction of games here, and that's one of the reasons I feel these collections always ultimately shine. Even the worst title has something interesting about it. In fact, is it even the worst title? I am of course talking about Sword of Sudan. It's unique, it's rough as fuck, and I'm very glad it's here. We also have the rather awesome Mega Drive first-person shooter Zero Tolerance, which is a bit of a technical marvel for the time and system it came out of. Radical Bikers is a phenomenally playable title that I am right in saying I think I'm right in saying wasn't released when it was originally made. Another weak spot for Legends of Wukong. And back to the chunky PS1 3D platformer, 40 Winks, a fantastic 3D adventure with different theme worlds to explore, characters and special abilities to change into, and shitloads of stuff to collect. Lots to love and interesting additions in this collection. And in 8th place is the C64 Collection 2. There are a decent 14 games in this collection, and it is an interesting bunch of titles. We have a much more expanded version of California games on here compared to the lackluster Lynx version. This one is a lot of fun due to much bigger selection of events to take part in. Impossible Mission 2 is a big one, but probably not high up my list if honest. I love Nebulous though. I'm sure it had another name though when I played it back in the day on a different system. Was it Tower Toppler or something? Sword of Fogall is a quality basic little RPG dungeon crawler. Pit Stop 2 is impressive for the age, and I always enjoy playing these. And Iridium is heaps of fun shoot 'em up that you definitely need to learn the layout of each stage. As with the speed you can go, there is an awful lot of crashing into scenery when you first start out. And we cannot be forgetting isometric maze action game Mission Impossible, which was a surprise delight and probably one that I played the most on the collection overall, truth be told. And in 7th place is Demons of Asterborg and Asterbro's Duo Collection. And so we got another Duo game cart on our hands, and both are pretty grand titles. One is very much an exploration platform game with great little actions and animations and little set pieces, lovely details throughout. But it's the second game, however, that is the highlight for me. It's a roguelike with randomised dungeon layouts to explore that you can access via a groovy little map, slowly saving new characters in the dungeons to unlock new shops and other helpful folk back at camp to assist between runs. There's a crafting system to give you yet more reasons to pilfer each stage on the quest to get all the materials for more powerful weapons for the harder stages. It gives you so many reasons to keep jumping back in. If you dig this type of game, and therefore gives you hours and hours of fun. In 6th place is Duke Nukem Collection 1. The reason this collection is so high is not because of Duke Nukem 3D. It's because I am so impressed with all the updates to the first two Duke Nukem titles, not just all the quality of life changes, there are other great reasons too. One of the most addictive are the challenges for each stage on each difficulty. Again, loads of reasons to keep jumping back in, and a checklist as you work through the challenges. This is a thing I love, because my ADHD, I wish they did this to more games, or I'd be so up for that. And again, adding more exclusives to the Evercade system is never ever a bad thing. I wish there were more. And yeah, Duke Nukem 3D is still great fun too, it's just not the primary reason to have this cart for me. And in 5th place is Delphine Software Collection 1. Now I hold two of these games close to my heart, one more than the other. Another World I will always adore and happy to stick on now and then. I can appreciate what it was when it came out, but still enjoy it just as much today. I just think it's a great adventure. It's like sticking on a favourite old movie. Flashback is like a more advanced version of Another World in every way. It's more sci-fi, whereas Another World is more fantasy sci-fi, and it's more gamey, if that makes sense. But I don't like it quite as much as Another World. The other two games I would love to love more, and actually Operation Stealth is a heap of fun with the mouse support, but even with mouse support I am just not fast enough to get past certain sections in Future Wars, which will forever frustrate me, because I dig the vibes of that game, man. And in 4th place is Indie Heroes Collection 2. Indie Heroes, my Evercade comfort blanket. This was the first one that was a collection of games that had previously been part of Game of the Month, with a few bonus games thrown in for good measure. There are 12 games in this collection, and at the top of my list, as per usual, is Low Tech with a side game to Flea entitled Tapeworm Disco Puzzle. A clever little game using the ideas of a tapeworm and a tape, as in music, to great effect. There are, of course, a bounty of other titles to enjoy, with the likes of Anguna and the very addictive, if short-lived, Beer Slinger. 2 trilogies are also included, taking the game count up to 16. Nessie Robot has the NES platformer vibe down pat and worthy of deep exploration for secrets. Lunar Journey is a gorgeous Game Boy adventure that tickles the same part of my brain as Dedius. And Galenius, so you say it, Humanity Lost, was unfairly looked down upon on its Game of the Month release. And yeah, I think it's rough around the edges, but it's also rather fab, okay? And some other great titles besides. A great collection, it really is. And in third place is Full Void. This is an amazing little game. It's all about the vibes and the atmosphere, because at this point I kind of know how to get through the game. Of course, I would always love new reasons to go through the game, but what else can you do with these types? Sometimes what they are is enough, even if you get through the game relatively quickly, and although there are little in-game achievements to unlock, most of them are not too tricky. You just got to remember to interact with everything and explore them much of each screen as possible. And am I saying I now prefer it to Another World and Flashback? And they are two games and this is only one. Even though this is a nod to them and wouldn't exist without them. I don't know if I'm saying that, it's just because it's a modern equivalent. And I love that idea so much. So yeah, at the moment I'm kind of digging it more, but maybe in the long term Another World will go back to the top. I don't know, it's just one of those things, isn't it? But yeah, I think everyone should definitely play this game. It's bloody amazing. And at number 2 is Good Boy Galaxy and Witch and Whiz. Good Boy Galaxy is perfection. It's so good, I forget there's another game on the cart, and I'm really sorry about that, Witch and Whiz, a competent enough little box moving puzzler, but Good Boy is really that good. It was one of those games that I think I forgot the Evercade even did other games when I was into it. I became so engrossed in the world, hopping from planet to planet, exploring, solving stuff, unlocking stuff, and meeting awesome new characters and collecting all the character cards. The story is really cute too, but the main thing is there's always a sense of progression and exploration. It looks gorgeous, and that doggo really is the bestest of good boys. Ain't you, Maxwell? No complaints. Bye, bye, bye. And in first place is Team 17 Collection 1. Shock. The one collection at the start I could only dream about. I felt for sure we could never get it. I still have my CD32, or as I like to call it, my Team 17 machine. And I haven't had to get it out once because a chunk of my favourite Amiga games Oh, on this one cart, namely Alien Breed Special Edition with the greatest time screen music in all creation, Alien Breed 2, the one I never completed, and the mightiest of them all, Alien Breed Tower Assault. That would all make this collection Bad Banger Essential enough, but it goes even further with Project X Special Edition and Paul. Jobs are good and already. The rest are just bonus at this point, but we still got the likes of Quack and that cool top-down little racer. Yeah, we are missing the wonderful Super Frog, but I think that's a rights issue, and I would have loved Super Stardust in a second cut along with the original Alien Breed and the two slightly dodgy 3D iterations, and if they could squeeze it on, but I'm assuming there's probably some issues there. But X2 No Relief was a fantastic sequel to Project X on the PS1. Now it's that time where I like to try and make the Bad Banger collection an uber collection of awesome titles, but I'm not just simply putting my favourite on here. Mostly I'm trying to balance it out with different types, and of course cart size gets kind of taken into account, and you've got to stick a dodgy one or two in there, ain't you? Am I right? So first up, no shock here, a tapeworm disco puzzle, as if I wasn't going to include something from my favourite indie creator. Number 2 is Legend of Wukong. For variety purposes, I had to include an RPG, and this one is a lot of fun. It's very grindy, but I love the grind. Number 3, The Legends of Silk Road. If you're gonna throw a scroll and beat 'em up into the fray, it might as well be an awesome one that's more unique than most. And then of course, Another World, because it's amazing and never grows old. Duke Nukem 1 and 2, I adore these new remastered versions, and we got to celebrate whenever Evercade do something different and unique. But we want more, Blaze, please, more. Right, okay, this is going to be no shock. Good Boy Galaxy, because it's perfect and stars the bestest of doggos whose swear word is biscuit. I mean, come on. Right, I'm trying to be good here. Alien Breed Tower Assault. Look, I'm being good. I'm only putting one on here, but it's got to be this one if it's going to be one of the 3. And Project X Special Edition. There's no way I'm leaving my favourite horizontal shoot 'em up off the list. It's also got a banging intro tune as well. Full Void. I'm probably cheating a bit here because that was on the solo cart, but fuck it. Because just like Another World, it's a wonderful tale told by its visuals, and the vibes are bloody on point. Well, I've got to stick a dodgy on, and Farming Simulator. I had to include a dodgy title, and no collection is complete without a dodgy one, am I right? I could have chosen Sword of Sudan. I nearly did. And then finally, Mr. Gimmick. There's a great flow to this game when you get better at it. I love the feeling when you can speed through sections after you've got the layout down pat, but it took me a long time to get through each bit. Ain't gonna lie. And there we have it, a bit of an impressive year. Not only did we get 15 carts, we got the new Super Pocket range of devices too, which I think over time have been quite a big part of getting new people into Evercade. It's like the first drug, you start small and then after time you start eyeing up the XP or the idea of playing some of the game's big screen, 2-player, or for that big drug hit on a mini arcade. And not forgetting my beloved Evercade VS Atomic Edition. It's going to take a really fancy model to switch this one out. Some of my absolute favourite games on Evercade came out this year, and this was the year that gave me the Alien Breed trilogy and Project X. I remember thinking at the time, okay, they've peaked, whatever they give us now, for me it's just a bonus. But of course at this point now in 2026, I just want more. Give me more, Mila, damn it. And now over to you, my friends. What are your opinions on the games released in 2023? And where would you rank them? And what do you think of the year as a whole and how it compares to previous and the ones after? As always, let me know in the comments below. And if you've made it here to the end of the episode, thanks ever so much for joining me. Leave a thumbs up or comment if you'd like. But you know, in the end, I'm just chuffed you poked your head in for a goosey gander. As always, I hope the day has been as awesome as you are, my friends. And until next time, which will probably be sooner rather than later, as I've just seen the news of a new controller as I record the end of this. And I've probably got some opinion on that, haven't I? But it's taken me so goddamn long to do this video, so I just wanted to get it out first. Be seeing you.